So I'm Liz Jack, and I'm married to.
Oh, married to me. I'm Jim Jack, and we're both ministers in the Church of Scotland.
Okay, so I come from Scotland. I've lived here all my life. Come from Glasgow, and I was brought up in the Church of Scotland.
I was born in Lanarkshire, which is sort of midway between Glasgow and Edinburgh, and wanted to be an architect since the age of 4. All my training and school was towards architecture. And then I got this call to the ministry by God, and I ran away. I did a Jonah, and I ran off to Canada, and I got a job in Canada. And much to my dismay, I discovered God was in Canada too. And my call just intensified, and I ended up being back in Scotland in ministry. Wow. I can't remember exactly when we met, but we met because we were in neighbouring parishes, and I came up to this church, Richmond Craigmillar, because we were working together as a group of local ministers, and I got involved with a project that Liz had started called Richmond's Hope, which was dealing with bereaved children, and I got involved with that. So that was how we initially met.
We at the beginning, I think from a distance, I liked Jim. I was attracted to him because he was funny, because he was warm and kind, and I don't know. You attracted to me?
I was attracted to you, but initially I'll tell the story. I invited Liz out for a meal, and she thought it was a beginning of something romantic. But I really just wanted to get to know her as a colleague. So we had different intentions, and that was a bit of a disaster actually. And then Liz invited me to her house to reciprocate, and I thought she's really keen. But by the time I got that message, she thought I wasn't keen, and she'd gone off me completely. So it was a bit of a rocky start to our relationship. But I was very fortunate and keen that we develop our relationship once I'd got that message.
That took him a while. 6 months.
Not long, because it was pretty clear that the way forward would be that we would get married, and we did. And it wasn't a long engagement or a long dating. It was good. Only with God.
We were older by the time we met, so we had both dated people. We dated people?
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, we weren't in a relationship,
but not a serious relationship.
We weren't, and I wasn't in a
and
relationship.
I had never, although I'd never met anybody that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with.
No. I proposed to Liz in a very old-fashioned, formal way, because I had met Liz's parents, and I'd taken her father aside and said what my intention was going to be. That was the old way of doing it, and I got his blessing. So I formally proposed to Liz in my living room, down on one knee, and she accepted, and that was the beginning of looking to be married together.
But I did know before he asked my dad, as I say, as a modern woman, I would not have been pleased if he'd asked my dad without me knowing. But he likes to think it all went that way. Is that right?
Oh, I do. We work very hard, can I say that? So fun time tends to be concentrated. We decided early on when we got married that we would both take Mondays off because Liz worked on a Monday and I didn't. But we decided we would both take Mondays off. So we try to plan what we're going to be doing, and it can be quite concentrated. We've got a dog, and we like to go walking the dog, take the dog out, and we also just
Do the
have great
garden.
fun spending time together. Liz is more keen in the garden than I am. I like designing things from my architecture background, but we spend a lot of time together on our time off.
I think one of the things we also did early on was decided that we would have proper breaks together. So, you know, because we work hard every 6 weeks, we would try and take 2 days. I know that's much harder if you've got children, but we were able to do that because we only had the dog. And sometimes we would just go away for those 2 days and pick somewhere nice to go. And so we could actually spend time on us because we spend a lot of time talking about work, which we enjoy as well, and a lot of time just relaxing together. But I think it's important to have fun as well. Easily, yeah. I'll already describe yours and mine. No, I'm the planner and I'm the one that looks ahead and I'm the one that thinks what we're going to do. And I like cooking, and so I would sort of look after that side. The financial thing I would be more keen on than you, perhaps. The garden.
You're the big picture person.
Mm.
I'm the detailed person, and my training, I think, in architecture, I keep going back to that, but it's given me an eye for detail, an eye for aesthetics, an eye for colour, and it's up to me to decorate the house and to know what goes where, and Liz has got the bigger picture. I often say that she gets to do the finances, gets to decide what we eat, gets to decide where we go, but I deal with the bigger things like should we invade America, or should we reduce the interest rates nationally? But it's a kind of it works, and you find your roles within a marriage. It's not that we do half the dishes and half the washing and half the washing up. Um, it's a role that you find within marriage, and they can be quite different things that we complement each other with.
Can I tell you a story about something that,
Sure.
when we got together, Jim and I were both cleaning the house together. Because I think it's important that we both do those kind of things as well. And Jim had a way of cleaning that wasn't my way of cleaning, and ended up telling me I was getting it wrong. And it took us a while to get over that bit because, and now it's accepted that he is a much better cleaner than I am, and he's much better at that sort of thing, and he does more of that kind of thing. And he accepts there are some things that I am better at than him, and lets me do more of them. And I think that's a very positive thing in a marriage, that you don't try and always dictate and say that's what we need to do here.
That's good.
And sometimes I'm right and sometimes he's right.
Sometimes no one is right.
Sometimes nobody's right.
Arguments.
You forget them after they're over, don't you? I think possibly about things that we're always learning about each other. We are different, and there are things like I'm a morning person, Jim's a night person. So I'm not ready for a deep conversation at 10 o'clock at night. But Jim is all ready and excited and wanting to talk about world politics or whatever at 10 o'clock at night. I'm up and sharp in the morning, and Jim sometimes is still sleeping when I'm up. So I think those kind of things would be arguments. I think sometimes in the car, because Jim's a very visual person, so I'll be talking. I'm a thinker. I'm in my head a lot of the time, and I'll be talking away, and Jim will want to show me something. So he'll go, "Oh, do you see that sheep in the field?" or something like that. And then by the time he's finished talking about the sheep, I've lost my train of thought. And I'll say to him, "You weren't listening to what I was saying." And he's saying, "Well, you were going to miss the moment if I didn't tell you." Is that right? We get grumpy about that.
The methodology here is more in my mind than the actual what we argue about. I'm struggling to think of a particular argument, but I do know that we make up, and for me that's better bit of the argument is the making up and possibly discovering in making up a wee bit, discovering something new about each other. I once met a couple who had been married 72 years. And I had met them, they were a Christian couple, wonderful faith, and they shared that not in a kind of you know, teaching way, but just in a being way. And as I was leaving one day, Mrs. Hardy came to the door with me and she said this, and I've never forgotten it. She said, although I've known Jimmy all these years, I still find out something new about him every day. And for me, that was initially, what did she mean? And I remember going home with my little mind doing somersaults in my head in the car going home. What did she mean by that? She'd known Jimmy 72 years and still finding out new things about him. And it took me several days for it to dawn upon me that she was talking about the love of God, which is an enormous thing and it's eternal. It has no beginning, no end. And in a marriage, that love is inspired by the love of God, that you do find out something new about each other all the time. And I think that's where the argument part comes in, because in repairing the argument, getting things back together, you find out something new about each other. And for me, that's a wonderful part of what marriage is about.
But I think arguing is important because I think you need to kind of give the argument its time because it needs that. And then you need to find time to sit down and say, why did that happen? How did we get that? What was it about me? What was it? And to be gracious enough to look at yourself and to say, because usually it's both people that have started it. And, if you stand on your ground and you say, well, I'm always right, or, my way is the best way and all that, it needs people to be very gracious and to say, actually, I might have got it wrong there. And we might have both got it wrong. And that's actually usually what it is. There's a bit of meeting, but you learn something about yourself, and that's quite interesting.
That's the learning the new part.
And sometimes you learn about the other person as well. And sometimes you say, actually, they're just like that. Mm-hmm. And I need to let them be like that. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. She's maybe always going to be grumpy at 10 o'clock at night if I introduce a new topic of conversation. And then maybe just either I have to work around that, I have to find a different way, or I have to be a wee bit more understanding of it. It's like there has to be a bit of negotiation.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Makes that thing we do.
And then we'll still get it wrong sometimes. No, we don't have any children at all. Yes, we both work. We both work as ministers in the Church of Scotland.
Say that because we're both ministers in the Church of Scotland, we have a lot in common, and quite a lot of our meeting when we come in from work each day is a sharing of what the day has involved, and that can sometimes be quite a lengthy discussion depending on the complexity of the day. But we confide in each other, we support one another in our work, and we enable each other to bounce off ideas for the next day and for what's coming up. And 300 years now. I'm trying to remember.
15 years.
15 years. 15 years.
Okay, that's good.
Biggest
strength.
Yeah. Us being together. Having, I always say to Liz, without her, I would be completely depleted. She's my best friend, my confidence, just everything about her is part of who I am, and that to me is the biggest strength we have.
And I think, for me the biggest strength is that you're in it together. So whether it's work or just having somebody else go shopping with, maybe because we do work hard, but the sort of ordinariness of deciding where the bulbs go in the garden, or just making tea together, or all of that is enhanced by not being on your own doing it.
And sharing a laugh. I mean, I bring my sense of humour to our relationship, and I tend to see funny things in most things that maybe people would miss. I'll tell you this sweet story. The first time Liz invited me to the house, I had just arrived in Edinburgh and she was having a barbecue. And so I went to her house with a bottle of wine and got out, and I could hear the barbecue and all the people behind the hedge, and they were having a good time. And I went in and I sat down and nobody spoke to me. And I was looking for Liz and I thought she must be in the kitchen getting things prepared. And eventually a man came and said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Where is Liz?" And he said, "Oh, she lives across the road." And I was actually in the wrong garden at the wrong barbecue. And Liz is wondering where I had got to. So, I mean, that to me is kind of a great story to tell people because it's funny and it's how we got together.
I would say that Jim's the extrovert and,
Yes, Liz.
and I'm the introvert.
Well, Liz is 24 and I'm 93. um, we're both about the same age, and we're both early 60s.
The early 60s.
And
I'm a year older than Jim.
Oh, you're older.
Mm.
I just look younger. I thought I was using the right soap. But for us, age doesn't really matter. And we did something a few years ago. We each wrote down what age we thought we were
in our heads,
without thinking about it in our heads. What age do you think you are without even thinking about it? And we both wrote down an age, and we both wrote down the same age. And it was a much younger age than we actually were. And for me, age is simply a number. It's more about attitude, and that is guided by faith. It's guided by who we are. It's guided by each other, and it's guided by God.
So
I say to you, read John chapter 2, the wedding at Cana in Galilee. And there you see a lot about relationships. It's about Jesus attending a wedding and water being transformed into wine. And I would say use that not literally, but use it metaphorically. That in a relationship, the relationship can be transformed from something as ordinary as water into something that's the very best wine that you've ever tasted. And for me, that summarizes what relationships can be and marriages should be for all of us.
I would say something different, actually. I mean, I would say all of that and agree with all of that. But what I would say from experience is that marriage is not always easy. I think you go through times when, it's just maybe not as exciting or a bit boring. And then there are times when it's really exciting. So it's not saying it's, but I think that one of the things I said to Jim early on was, I'm really glad that we promised that we would be with each other forever. Because it kind of meant that, he had to stick at it and I had to stick at it. That we both had to try and make it work. And that meant that when we were different, or when we, or when bad things happened outside of us, we had to, and it's, when it is hard, you need to have that kind of almost, the years are long. 15 years is a long time, and a lot can happen in 15 years. And I think that it mellows and gets better because you stick at it. But I see for so many people, you can understand why people go, maybe there's a better relationship out here for me, because that particular point in time, it's not fab. It's not great. And you can see why people let go of it, and you think, but you let go of all the good stuff as well. And it's not gone away. it's not, it's just lost for a wee moment. It's like, you know, when Jim's being annoying, because I'm never annoying, you know, when Jim's being annoying, and I'm sort of sitting there thinking, you think, oh, he's so annoying. But then, you know, and in that moment, I'm not going to comfort myself with all these good qualities. I'm just going to think, well, he's annoying. But then, you know, if you just stick at it and you just stick there, then there'll be another day and another moment, and he won't be annoying, and he'll be terribly kind and terribly looking after me, and you know, just gentle and funny and all the good things that he is. But that, you know, I need, you always need to just stay there, I think, in that moment, and listen and talk. And if there's something wrong, make time for it and sort it. And that might take time. You know,
That's deep.
Jim's the funny one, and I do the deep. Is that right?
Well, I'm not going to let you away with that, because what you've just been describing is the story of the wedding at Cana and Galilee, because the wine steward tastes this wine that has miraculously appeared, and he says to the groom, normally you serve the best wine first, but you have kept the best wine until now. And if we apply that to relationships and to marriage, what it's basically saying is that the worldly way is to have the best now first, and then move on, and when things go wrong, or just get divorced. But the wine story tells me this, that the best wine has been kept until now. Not it's been, not it's yet to come, but it's now. And that means now every single day of your lives together. It's now. And for me, that is what you've just been describing.
So you can do deep after all.
That's deep.
That's even deeper.